Welcome to the Mediocre to Magnificent podcast. I'm your co-host, Braxton Matson, and your host, Lee A. Williams, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in because you are what makes this pure magnificence. You are the ripple effect of magnificence, and we are going to bring you a message that will give you insight, inspire you, motivate you, and challenge you to not only grow in your magnificence, but let you know that you are magnificent in everything you do. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Lee, man.
Yes, sir.
We're here, man.
We are here.
I'm kind of what we talking about today, man?
Man, I don't know, man. I gotta get to that in just a second. You want me to? Oh,
I'm already doing.
You're already on there, man. Cricket conversations.
Cricket conversations.
Yeah, man. What did you think about it?
when you sent me the text message, cricket conversations, I'm like, a part of me was like, is it meaningless conversation? And then it's like, is it just a conversation that doesn't go nowhere?
Well, I'm gonna start off with how this came up, and then I'm gonna take it to not, and I'm gonna do it in a way that's not gonna be negative speech or to stay in negative speech.
Right,
if it could be
drawn
as negative connotation, to make it be positive. But so the thought process is, have you ever been involved, maybe with your children, with your wife, I don't know, whoever, a friend, me, be like, you might be texting somebody something, and then like you're going back and forth texting, right?
I know where you're going with this too. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Keep going.
Well, I don't want to do like that. But so you're going back and forth texting. And it's like, they're very responsive. And then the person that has some people they read your text.
Oh, yeah.
So they know.
Yeah.
So that, I know one specific person. I'm so like, oh, how's your day? And it's like, read. Like before you even get finished typing it, it's read. And they're like, oh, magnificent. And then you be like, oh, so what's been going on? Oh, man, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, okay, good. Hey, man, we're getting ready to go do a meetup at.
And then it goes silent. And then it goes silent. Yeah. No, exactly.
And then
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Let's be a realist. Let's be a realist. Like
we've had them moments too, man.
Yeah, we've had. So then you might be like, okay, well, come on, Lee, man. They might be at work, or they went to dinner with their wife, or they had to pick their kids up from school, or they're at the ball game. So depending on the timing, like it just so happened to get crickets. Like, man, nothing.
Cricket.
Right.
Cricket.
So then you're like, okay, well, I'll send another text the next day or the day from there. Hey, man, what's going on? Man, I'm doing magnificent.
It's like
It's like, you didn't see the text I asked you about the meetup?
Right.
Or you didn't ask us about the text about you fill in the blank, whatever one you want to say.
Right, whatever one.
Why is that cricket?
Why's the cricket going on?
Why are you
on that specific thing? And it's repeating. And is it like a repeating thing too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For certain people.
No, because for
certain stuff, it's repeating.
Right. Yeah.
So what do you think that is?
I think some of it's like, for me, I know it's like, okay, I planning it, because everybody's got like family plans and all this stuff going on, and sometimes it's like, I don't know what's going on at that time that we're doing, and we haven't made the plans ahead of time to make sure I know what we're doing. To let that person know. And then the crickets come up. But then you never respond.
Never comes back.
And then, like you said, you come back in and it doesn't get
it doesn't get answered.
So what do you? Why do you think it never? So like,
That's
if
that's
you're
a
in,
good
if you're
one,
in
man.
that person, if you're that person, because I like even
I think it's you don't want to disappoint somebody, so you hold on to it. But it's like,
mm,
if you have any
that's
doubt in
funny.
your mind that you may not make it or
Yeah.
whatever it is, just respond with that so they know, because you leave them on a cliffhanger. Because I know I've done that to you before.
Oh,
I've done that to you before.
Crickets. I'm like, I know he saw the text.
I know it because he just responded again, and the text is 3 up, and you can still see it on your screen.
Right. So then the thought process to teach people, and then after that I'm gonna transition, but teach people about this. So the thought process is either way the energy is gonna be transferred, and I know I've said that a lot of times. So
yeah.
if you think like, oh man, if you went to say, I don't want to let the person down.
Yeah.
So what if you really say, okay, I'm gonna be diligent. Hey man, I saw your text. I gotta check into it. So that acknowledges.
Yeah, and you're releasing the energy.
And then you didn't say you're going.
Yeah, you never said you weren't going. You said you're looking into it.
So then another step, if you be like, hey man, what's up with this? Blah, blah, blah. You gonna be able to come out? No, man, I ain't gonna be able to come out.
And that's it.
But
just
then you still check your schedule, check your plans, talk with your family, and then you're like, oh man, I am able to.
Right.
You surprise the person. Man, I thought you said you weren't coming.
Yeah.
Man, I was able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some people do it on the other side of it. Oh yeah, man, I'll be there.
And then they not be there.
And they ain't check nothing.
Right.
It's like, man, we can't count on you.
Yeah.
We can't depend on you. Your word's no good. So there's lessons to this. But when you're in a relationship with somebody, no matter the level of the relationship, like I had a couple business people, a college reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to come speak to our. I'm like, but they messaged me Friday night.
Mm.
Well, that's the start of the Sabbath, man.
Yeah.
Saturday's the Sabbath. I'm not. I didn't respond.
Yeah.
Until after the Sabbath was over. But I made a point, right? Hey, I got your text. We'll be able to schedule a call to work out some of the particulars to see what we can work out for your university. Just to acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a few more people like, okay, I gotta say something to them.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I gotta.
Uh-huh.
But according to time, you'll start saying like, okay, well, you'll start seeing certain days, certain times, certain circumstances.
Right.
You understand the game. But at what point did the person, you say, hey, I care about you enough that I'm going to at least acknowledge.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the acknowledgement is on your part. I'm going to show the energy in which to say, hey, I acknowledge you.
Right.
So then I'm just going to transition. Because you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Yeah.
When God calls your name twice.
Oh, I've heard this one.
Do you want it to be when God calls your name twice for you to be cricket conversations?
Not really.
No, I'm not. So, because this could be like, Lee, you're really like walking the line. Like you're comparing Texas with somebody that.
Yeah.
No. It's still the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't do something as simple as, hey,
I saw it.
When God calls you to be who you're called to be, who he created you to be.
Yeah.
Are you going? You can't respond to the easy? You think you're going to be able to deal with God?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to answer God. You can't even respond to the simple text.
Mm.
So then let's just go with it. There's several examples, I got them listed where I might read a lot today, but it's going to be important.
Yeah.
One of the first ones, Luke 22, 31, 32. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon. That's twice. Simon. Behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, like, Lee, I want to say I'm taking on the role of like, he's called me, and I've responded. And I'm gonna get to what the response is in a later example. But it's to say to strengthen thy brethren, because Satan's trying to sift you as wheat. So that's that energy transfer. When I talk about the cricket conversation and say, hey, it could be whatever. Like, hey, man, I want to call you and talk to you about. And you're like, crickets? It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
All it takes, like, we're men. Some people are
Yeah.
women. We're men. In this example, you'll be able to say, I'm not able to talk right now.
Right. I mean, that's it.
I'll let you
That's
know
all
when I
that's-
am.
Yeah.
And it's especially when God said, I've prayed for thee. Let's go to the next one. Luke 10:38 through like 42. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. For all the people that don't know the story, it's Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Christ's feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Bid her, therefore, that she help me. And Christ answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. So you're like, Lee, well, how do you tie this whole passage in? It's, if we go back to the beginning example, Martha was like, oh, I got to cook, I got to prepare this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to.
She got all this stuff going on in her head that she's
And Mary
trying
is
to
at the presence.
Yeah.
She's in the presence of the Lord. So if you were tie this back to the cricket conversation, especially with your example, I love when I talk to you because you just give me the example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It just works that way. But my mind's able to connect it.
Right.
So I help. We're helping somebody. This is for somebody. You're like, man, I go like, oh, I don't know. I gotta go with my schedule. I gotta find out this. I gotta find out that. I gotta find. It's like, why don't you just get present with Martha? Martha, Martha. Mm-hmm. Martha, Martha.
Right.
Get present with Mary. Like Mary's telling you, like, hey, not we cannot connect like, oh, in this example, but in that present moment is acknowledge whoever. It can be, let's not make this about anything other than you're letting energy seep away from you that does not need to be let loose. So the thought process ends up being, hey, you might get an email. Mm-hmm. And then you don't respond. It's like, you could have handled that.
Right. Because it builds up.
Why didn't you handle it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying, because there's a lot of personal development type lessons here. Like, every time you get an alert or every time you get a notification, like, oh, you handle it. But if you talking about at the scheduled time, mm-hmm. Christ is here, that's a scheduled time. Like, I don't need to be nowhere else. So right. You're saying, I check my email from 9 to 10. You saw one that's like, oh man, I don't know how I want to respond to that one. Or I'm gonna have to say this, or I'm gonna have to do this, or I'm gonna have to say that. 3 days go by, and then there's certain people's like, Martha, Martha.
Right.
You didn't see the email?
No, I
like,
get it,
this
man.
requires
I totally get it.
attention.
Yeah.
So in this example, Christ requires attention. Mm-hmm. Why are you gonna keep letting this man call you twice?
Yeah.
When you can handle it from the beginning. Let's go to the next example. You feeling good?
I'm feeling good about it. I like it, man.
That's good. 1 Samuel 3 through 10.
3 through 10.
You remember the time when? But
yeah.
So it's okay. I mean, we're just doing with the times that he called twice. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. And it came to pass at the time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. And Samuel was laid down to sleep. That the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hebrew word for here I am, just so people understand, is hineni, hey nani,
Mm-hmm.
here I am. But I just like to put that in there.
Yeah.
And he ran unto Eli and said, Here I am, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not, lie down again. And he went and lied down. And the Lord called yet again Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for thou didst call me? And he answered, I called not, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, or Hey Nani, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place.
Yeah.
And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. Now, that was a lot.
That's a
But
lot.
I'm gonna just
it's a lot.
I'm gonna pull out just a few
Yeah.
to say, okay, hey, we get it. You're being called, and you don't even know who's calling you. And you thinking it's Eli, but it's the Lord calling you for you to be magnificent. And magnificent in this example is just, it's your time. He's calling you. What you gonna do?
Right.
You think it's an email. You think it's a text. You think it's he's just calling me again. There's a mentor in this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the M's, mentors. He point blank told him, he said, hey, if it happens again.
Yeah. Call the Lord.
The Lord speaks.
And it's like there's something about threes in the Bible. Like you got to pay. There's like groups of threes.
Right.
But yeah, when Samuel the third time, he's like, okay, something's
going on.
But that's the mentor side of it. He's like, something's going on. And that's where he tells Eli that on the third time.
For thy servant heareth.
Yeah.
How many times you think people are like being called and don't even answer?
Yeah.
And they play the cricket game. And it's like, you're being called.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking it's just Lee calling you, terrorizing you.
Right. Right. That's what, you could think that way. Yeah.
It's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
He's just being used. Like, hey, man, what's God asking you to do? Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
We need you to be ready to go.
Right.
Here I am.
Called you twice. And then it's like, okay.
Let's go to the next one. Genesis 46:2. It says, And God spoke unto Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am.
Here I am.
And that's where the scripture ends. But for anybody to know, Jacob, 12 sons, end up becoming the 12 tribes. And it says into this, and God spoke unto Israel. So you have to know the scripture because once he wrestled what he needed to wrestle with,
right?
We'll just leave it at that. You got to info sponge this stuff. You got to go look for yourself. You got to study so yourself approved. But anyway, he said he spoke unto Israel in the vision. But then, because he changed his name to Israel, but then he said, Jacob, Jacob.
Think about it. Think about when his name was changed to Israel and why his name was Jacob. What's the meaning of Jacob?
Yeah. And then he goes and says, Jacob, Jacob. And then he said, Here I am.
Yeah.
Hey, Nene.
The here I am is so important too. Because in
You can't hide.
like the here I am is like I'm here. Like
You can't
I'm
hide.
fully present with you.
You can't hide.
Yeah, that's it.
So if for all my clients, for anybody that's listening to this, that know that they've had interactions with me where they know that it's like I've asked a specific question.
Yeah.
And then you do some whatever weirdo thing you do.
Right.
You bury your head in the sand like this is gonna pass.
Like an ostrich. What is this?
Ostrich,
An ostrich that
yeah.
does it?
You're ostrich. Your nickname is ostrich. To say, hey, this isn't gonna pass.
Right.
You need to say, hey, Nene, here I am.
Right.
So if we go back to the example that's non-biblical, right? We always keep it biblical. Don't trip. But the thought process ends up being you responding and saying, I saw it. I saw the text, man. I gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I stand on it. If I even want to do it. If
Right.
I want to go, if I want to come, if I want to be a part of it, if I want to. Here I am.
Yeah.
Unashamed. Willing to say where I stand.
Right.
All these examples, you didn't hear no one say like, okay, well, you had to be this or that. The magnificence is
Here I am. Yeah.
Next example we got is, there's 2 more examples, man. You doing good?
I'm doing great, man. I like it.
That's good. Exodus 3. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, what do you think he said? Moses.
Yep.
And he said, what do you think he said?
Here I am.
Here I am. Hey, Nene. So now we're starting like with the bush, man, the burning bush.
Yeah.
Like miracles are happening. Miracle territory is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So Moses had the mindset. Humble servant of the Lord, like, okay, well, let's just go back and say, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. So you might be like, man, you're talking about a burning bush compared to responding to there's no way it's different. There's no way it's the same. But I always like, driving the point home. My wife says sometimes like, you just want to stick it to him. Well, it's like, well, it could be. I have to stick it to him.
It might be a little bit.
Stick it to him nature. I forgot who I was talking to. Oh yeah, Common. But I think this example applies. So it's like, hey man, I've been inviting you to schools. Like I'm going to university, I'm going to this school, I'm going to that school, I'm going to this speaking engagement, I'm going to this speaking. I said, I bet you if I called and said, hey, the Georgia Bulldogs are
sticking it.
The team's bringing me in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's been a cricket conversation person.
Yeah.
He's not been. He'll point blank tell you, hey man, I can't
Yeah.
make it.
Right.
I ain't gonna make it. But what I'm saying, I'm taking it a step further in the teaching, in the lesson today, to say, hey, under certain circumstances, the way you respond and then what you're willing to do,
the willingness
changes.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
can see that.
okay, under this circumstance,
circumstances.
you're willing. So what if I was just playing, if we're just playing in the vein of the text, and I'm like, hey man, You're like, what's going on? Oh yeah, Magnificent, man. Yeah. How everything been going? Yeah, I've been doing good. How's work? Oh, work's great. Hey, were you coming to the meetup on Friday night?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Crickets.
Like, and then you're you're a smart person, so you give benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this might have been dinner time. And you got caught up, and
Got a lot of other stuff going on in your head.
then tomorrow you're like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And the person's like, "Oh man, it's wonderful." So then let's rewind and say, "Hey, what if I text this?" And just be honest. Please be honest.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest.
If I said at this Friday's meetup, I plan on giving you a check for $2,000.
If you, yeah, that's a different.
That's the just.
That's different.
I'm trying to stretch, but that's the
But
burning bush. That's the burning bush example.
Yeah.
This Friday, if you can come to the meetup, I plan on handing you a check for $2,000.
Who would not respond to that? Who would not? I mean, seriously.
I mean, I just want to know.
Like
One time years ago, I'm not gonna name names in this, but my wife will know. I said, I bet you. I'm not a betting man, but
right.
I bet you just language, figure of speech. I bet you if we said, hey, let's go to Top Golf, and after Top Golf, we're going to you're going to have a $10,000 shopping spree at Lenox Mall.
It's a different deal. You can't tell me. You cannot tell me your response, the here I am, is different. It's going to be different.
So then,
but how do you not let it be different?
So where does the value?
Yeah.
Where does the value? Where does the value? Because that's what I said. Like, when this example is like, at what point do we point blank say, hey, like going back to Martha and Mary sitting, Mary's like, man, I'm finna sit with the Lord. I'm not cooking. We'll cook later.
Right.
Cleaning up. Like he knows our house how it looked before he got here.
Right.
To say, so the value is transferred to say, so now we got to be like, oh, man, you got a $10,000 shopping spree, man. If you just show up to the meetup. Do you, or I'm going to give you a $2,000, I'm going to hand you a $2,000 check. Man, I'm speaking at the Bulldogs, man. I want you to come, man. I thought the first person I thought about was you, man. Like, man, I know he's got to be in the room. I got to invite him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now you respond.
But how do you get to the point where it doesn't matter what
I'm asking you.
It is. Like, it's got to be like, you just got to be.
How many examples have we said?
Right.
Like, all these people had different calls on your life. You have a call on your life. But what you have to say is, here I am.
Right.
So then at what point do you say, is this just some easy text? Is this just some easy email? Is this just some phone call? Is this just Lee? Is this just...
Yeah.
Or how I'm showing up, the energy is being transferred and it's not magnificent.
Yeah.
And there's a gap that I need to plug the gap, because no matter the circumstance, all these people had different circumstances. You have to say, here I am.
Right.
So then the next example, Genesis 22, 10 and 11. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
Mm-hmm.
If you hadn't realized that, the examples have been building.
Yeah. This is the big one.
This is the big one.
This is the big one.
Huh? Okay. And the angel of the Lord called unto him and out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am.
Yeah.
Hey, Nene. But for the people that might not know the story, you need to know the story.
You need to know that story. It's, I mean, when you say here I am. He was
getting ready to slay his son.
Yeah. But it was like when you say here I am, it's full dependency on God. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's all, like, nothing else matters. Like, it's full dependency on you doing God's will.
Period. Now, the stretch could be like, oh, well, why does certain things tie in to be like, I can't make the connection with what you're saying compared to God's will for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. So you have to be able to go through your process, not doing the bury your head in the sand,
Right.
standing in your truth and your authentic self, still saying, here I am,
And
letting
whatever.
your here I am be
Yeah.
what it is, and not let the enemy trick you
Right.
to be like, oh, well, I'll just respond later. You don't. You don't respond later. Later doesn't
That's
come.
the thing.
And if later does come, if we're keeping it with the Lord, he's like, I needed you to play this role and you didn't say, here I am. So don't think for 1 second in the grand scheme of this plan that I have that I called somebody else.
Yeah.
And they answered and said, here I am. So the cricket conversation is, don't miss the call. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's almost like the Holy Spirit, because I was like, man, I didn't want this to be a throw people under the bus
Right.
call
Yeah.
kind of podcast. So I'm like, man, how do I do it? And he said, this is how you do it.
I mean, it's like, those are very good examples of the here I am.
This is how you do it, man.
Because it's like, I feel like a lot of times maybe we don't respond because it's like we don't accept where we're at and we don't want to just be where we're at.
Mm.
You know, it is you're where you are right now.
Yeah.
That's the here I am. That's all he wants.
That's all he wants.
That's it.
That's it.
Whatever situation it is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But you
And
gotta
why do
be
you think people like get so? Because you said it, so we can just go in that vein with it just for a minute. Is like the disappointing piece. Like, if you say like, "Oh, I didn't want to disappoint," like, especially if we're talking about God, he wouldn't have.
It's not disappointing.
He wouldn't have.
You're where you are,
Yeah.
and all you gotta do is express it.
I could say, especially with my clients and some like you, I could say, like, not to make myself like God. That's not what I'm doing. But we talk enough to I know where you're at.
Right.
So then I sometimes pose a question or pose a circumstance just to see if you'll pass the test for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I already know where you are.
Right.
I already know your circumstance. I already see how you show up. I'm giving you an opportunity for you to pass your own test, and then you
fall. Or you don't. It's crickets.
It's crickets. It's like,
it's crickets.
Plug the energy.
Right.
Please.
Plug
it.
But
this is for you. Like 9 times out of 10, I know you're not coming, or I know you're not gonna make it.
But you gotta
just
release.
Respond.
Like the whole releasing the energy thing. That makes total sense to this, because it's like you gotta are you just respond in the moment and the time that you're here. Like, this is where I'm at right now, and just respond.
So yeah, but yeah, when he calls, man.
Yeah,
but you have to take it a step further to say, like, is he calling?
Yeah.
Is for this? Is it really aligned with? Is there certain stuff that he's calling, and you're burying your head in the sand?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, come on, man.
Right.
I mean, I'm the kind of guy. I'll get the shovel and help you dig your head out, man.
Right.
Because we don't want to be.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Like, none of these people didn't. There's some that didn't answer the call.
Right.
But these are examples of the ones that did. Because you're able to, too.
Right.
And, hey, Nene, man.
Hey, Nene.
Here I am.
It's big, man.
It's big. It's huge.
It's huge.
I was so
like, they really need to go back and read those stories.
He told me, when God calls your name twice, man.
Here I am. Hey, Nene.
And we could, I'm an overachiever, man. So I want to get to the point where he said, Lee, before he even gets to the next, I want to be like, here I am.
But that's great, though. That's what you need.
Here I am.
Yeah. Like, you want to be that level. You really do want to get to that level.
Yeah.
And just Yeah.
I've been working on it, man. I've been working on it. I was at the gym sitting in the sauna, man. I told the guy, I was like, oh yeah, I got a podcast. Oh yeah, what you talking about? I was like, we've been talking about God lately, man.
Yeah.
And I said unashamedly.
That's
I mean,
here I am.
I mean, it wasn't.
That's the here I am.
It wasn't even
Yeah.
like we've been talking about God lately, man. Check it out.
Yeah.
Like it'll probably help you. Put a little spin on it, our own little, but we're still keeping it.
Yeah.
According to the word, LAW. So yeah, man. But yeah, stop having these conversations in your own mind.
Yeah.
That I like to say cricket.
Don't do that. Crickets. Don't do it.
Either way, the people love you, and God knows, man. So, and He's prepared you. So you
Absolutely
just own it.
own it.
Here I am. Till next time.
This is your co-host here, Braxton Matson, and Lee and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we did making it, but we couldn't do it without you. So please hit that like button, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Let us know what topic or subject that you would like us to talk about in your journey from mediocre to magnificent. But most of all, share it. Be the ripple effect of magnificence and know that you are magnificent in everything you do. Till next time.